Hello, this is Pamela Topchian. I'm going to be talking about pet sitting, and even though it's a little bit of a different kind of a video, there is this saying, or it's a quote or something, that all pets are therapy pets, just some of them are working undercover. And I love that because it's so true. Not just pets, but all animals actually. They're all healers. Just really, animals are healers, just as a general statement. And I truly believe that. So obviously I'm not at home. This is a different background than usual. I am pet sitting, and I have all this kind of different pet sitting apparel, all these t-shirts that have pets and paws and pet sitter stuff on them, and I just love it so much. I get a little bit of joy from it, and then I don't even have to think twice about what clothes I'm going to bring when I'm pet sitting. I do overnight pet sitting. So there has been there's pet sitting groups online and different social media places and stuff like that. There's been a lot of questions and pet sitters that have issues, and then people who are trying to get into pet sitting, or people that are looking to hire pet sitters. So I just thought I would do this video since it's a huge part of my life, and I don't think I've ever had a video on it myself. I have talked about it a little bit on different podcasts and stuff, but as far as on my own channel here, I don't think I've ever talked about it, and it's, like I said, a huge part of my life. So I don't necessarily want to talk so much about pet sitting in my life, but just in general. Different types of pet sitters. You can do pet sitting where you're doing basically dog walking, and this can even be for people who are working all day, and you have your regular clients certain days a week that you go in there at a certain time of day and you go and walk their dog. And of course you want to make sure they have fresh, clean water, make sure, and if they need to be fed during the day, that kind of a thing too. Make sure there's no accidents in the house, right? So one of the issues with this is people end up having a lot of keys, other people's keys. So you want to be really, really respectful and mindful of not only people's privacy, but of being responsible for the entry to their house, being responsible for those types of for having all those keys. Don't leave them in your car. Don't hook them on your personal keychain unless you have it clearly marked. Maybe don't bring them with you everywhere you go unless it's your days and times that you're going to do these dog walks and check-ins and drop-ins. So that's another thing. People do just check-ins and drop-ins, and they will go just check in and drop in, just like it sounds, whether it's when people are on vacation taking a trip, or whether it's during the day. Like I said, people are just at work all day or for more than a few hours a day, so they need that help with their pet. But I do overnight care, and that's another aspect of pet sitting, and it's called all kinds of different things. It can be called live-in care, because you basically are living in their home while they're away. You're camping out is how it feels. So for me, I do the overnight care where I stay the whole time the family's away. By not doing other check-ins and drop-ins and dog walks, I can stay, with the pet while the family is away, or the pets. And a lot of times there are clients who their pets are special needs, they're on medications, or they're elderly. So those are a lot of the clients that I get, mainly because I stay the whole time they're away. But I wanted to bring up a few things. If you're looking into being a pet sitter and you don't know how to start, there are websites such as, there's professional pet sitters websites, which is petsit.com and petsitters.org, and I'll put those links down below. But the petsit.com is Pet Sitters International, and that's a community, it's an organization, an association, and they give you information about different pet sitting insurance, which is very important. I would not do it without insurance. And they give you all kinds of these articles and different information. They also offer pet sitting, pet first aid and CPR, which is very important, and I am also certified in that. They also offer different classes and courses that you can take as far as pet care and pet behavior. There's all kinds of different things, like how to care for pets with cancer, how to look for pain in pets, just being keeping the house and the pet clean and sanitary and healthy while they're under your care. Also, lost pet behavior. So if a pet gets out and they're lost, how can you help them to come back? Ways to help with that. All kinds of different things. So, and then the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. So there will be a lot of information on there if you're interested in becoming a pet sitter. On both of those sites. And they also have a directory of pet sitters, and those are going to be more professional pet sitters and more serious pet sitters than the ones on, there's rover.com, a lot of people have heard of them. There's also wagwalking.com, not as many people have heard of them. So that's for pet sitting, but it's also for just what it sounds like, just dog walking. So you have to decide, if you're thinking about becoming a pet sitter, decide what kind of pet sitter you want to be, what fits with your lifestyle, how much experience you have, and your love for pets and for animals, and your overall awareness of safety and health for them as well. It's very important. They are putting their trust in you. And I hear, a couple of the things that I've heard from pet owners who have hired pet sitters that they weren't happy with. The number one thing I hear is they leave a mess. So whether it's a mess that the pet has left, whether the pet has had accidents in the house, or people have even left the sink full of dishes when they're pet sitting, that's just crazy. So clean up after yourself. Clean up after yourself, but clean up after the pet too. Sure that their dishes, their eating and drinking dishes and bowls are clean as well, and their eating area is clean. You want to look around the house for any accidents. Pets that never have accidents could possibly have an accident when their family is away, because they might be extra anxious or nervous or worried about it. So they may have accidents, or they may chew up something. So one thing that I do, a lot of my clients have really large homes. It's kind of a more affluent area. So if they have really large homes and I'm staying for a weekend or a week or longer, if I'm staying overnight, even one night really, I will go and close the doors that we don't need to be in. And that way I know that there's not going to be an accident in some hidden room somewhere off in this 5-bedroom house, If they tell me my pets like to sleep up on my bed or, in my daughter's room or whatever, then I'll leave that open. But I will then walk around that room daily just to look for any accidents or anything that may be out of place or have been chewed or something like that. So, but if that's not the case, if they're going to sleep with me, whether it's in the primary bedroom or whether it's in a guest bedroom, if the pets are going to sleep in the same bedroom as me and the family doesn't say anything about how they like to be in that other room or something, I'm just going to close those doors, because we don't need to be in there, and that way I don't have to sort of, be walking around people's private spaces that I have no reason to be in. So be really mindful of that as well, and where you leave your things. So I have heard of pets getting into people's medicine or even their toiletries. So be really careful about where you're putting your own things, completely out of reach of the pets. So another thing that I have heard a lot of is people are coming for an overnight stay and they leave for an amount of time or a long amount of time, and they didn't discuss this with the family. So you want to make sure, if somebody's hiring you for overnight stays, what exactly does that mean for them? Do they need you to be there the whole time that they are away? Can the pet be left alone for a certain amount of time? If so, what is that amount of time? If they just, if you could just run to the store, maybe an hour or two at most, or if you have another job or you're trying to just have your social life or do other things while you're pet sitting, you need to find out exactly what the family is expecting of you and if that's going to work for you. It's okay to say no. It's okay to turn down a job if it's not going to be a good fit. It also helps if you do turn down a job if it's not going to work for you for whatever reason. It's good to have, if you don't have other names of other pet sitters in your area, give them those websites. Tell them about petsit.com or petsitters.org. Most people know about Rover, and some people know about Wag Walking. I think there's other ones as well. Tell them about these websites in case they don't know, and help them find an alternative if it's not going to work for you. So that brings me to having a very good and detailed initial meeting, and that's where you guys decide together if it's going to be a good fit. You have to see the pet that you're going to be caring for before you go to care for it, and you want to go to the home that you're going to be staying at before you're there to stay. So it's very important. So I have my form. I bring a form with me and I ask a bunch of questions. And the reason I bring this form with me is more so that I don't forget, because almost always you get to talking about things. So I don't want to forget to say anything. So I'm going to switch this screen, and I don't know, I hope it doesn't interrupt the recording, but let's see here. So of course, how many, what types of pets, you want to know. Mentioning how many pets, you want to decide what you're going to charge, and if you're going to charge extra for more than, say it's 2 pets at this price and a little bit more for each additional pet. That's how I do it, but different people have different ways of doing that. And if you're going to charge by the hour or by the pet or by the time, or by the day or whatever, you need to decide these things before you even start. Don't just wait for them to offer it. Come in there as if you're a business person offering a service, because that's exactly what you're doing. So is your pet elderly or special needs in any way? And if so, to please leave instructions for the unfortunate event of their passing while the family is away. What do they want you to do in that circumstance? And you need to decide too, are you able to handle that? Some people say, I could never be there, if a pet is passing, or if I think that the pet is sick for any reason or has any kind of a terminal illness. If you can't handle that, then that's not the job for you. Are there any other duties that you'll need from me while you're away? So watering plants, was the trash going to need to be taken out and the can brought back up, the bin brought back up to the house while they're away? Are you going to get the mail for them? Anything like that. And where do you prefer I park? Some people want you to park in their garage. Some people have HOAs. You are not allowed to park on the street overnight, or they don't want a car in the driveway for more than a certain number of days or something like that. So that's important. And where do you want me to sleep? So a lot of times people want you to sleep in the guest room, which makes sense if you're in a home that has a guest room. But one thing I always do, so I bring my sleeping bag and I sleep on top of a made bed. And once they find that out, then they will say, oh, okay, then it's fine that you sleep in my room. So if the pets sleep up on the bed with the person, then the reason I come there and stay the whole time they're away is so that everything can be the same for the pets as if the family is there, except it's a different person watching them. So if the pet has to go sleep in another room when they're normally used to sleeping on the bed with the family or with the parents or whatever, then that's kind of disrupting their normal routine. And I strive to give them their normal routine. So I bring a sleeping bag, I sleep on top of a made bed. That way nobody needs to worry about sheets or anything like that. I don't have to worry about it when I leave. They don't have to worry about it before I come or when I leave, anything like that. The bed is just made the same as when they left. And then the pets can do what they normally do. If they sleep in crates or if they sleep around the house wherever, then, they might want you to just sleep in the guest room. So any of that is totally fine, of course. So I keep switching screens and I'm on a different kind of a platform, so I'm going to see, hopefully this still works. And then so I ask, are there cameras in the home? And if so, where? And I also say that I won't sleep in a room with cameras. So I don't mind cameras. A lot of people do mind having cameras. And I can understand this in a way because you feel like you're always being watched. But if you're doing your job, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then, then it really is protection not only for them, for having somebody in their home, but also protection for you. So if there's some sort of an accident or some sort of something that happens, whether it's with the pet or, some sort of knick-knack or something in the home, then they can see exactly what happened. And then you don't have to feel like you have to try to defend yourself or try to explain what happened. So I don't mind cameras at all. but I won't sleep in a room with a camera. And you'll be surprised at how many people do have cameras set up in their bedroom. It's mainly because when they leave, then their pets will jump up on their bed and lay there, and then that way they can keep an eye on them or check in on them that they're doing okay while they're not at home. So just be firm in what you're comfortable with and make sure you say it. And having a list like this to bring with you on your meet and greets is really a good idea, because then it kind of gives you these talking points rather than feeling uncomfortable about saying anything. It's like, there it is, there's the talking point. This is another thing I need to ask. So also, is there anyone else living on the property or who will be staying or coming into your home while you're away? There has been a time where I had somebody that had like a gardener that lived on the premises, and they would walk right in and they had used the kitchen and stuff. No, I will not do that because I don't know that person. If there's like, say, a college kid that is staying back from vacation, but they won't have time to take care of the pet, or their family doesn't trust them to take care of the pet, so they want to hire a pet sitter, I'm not comfortable with that. You have to decide what you're comfortable with. I feel like, what if the college kid has people over, or whoever's going to be in the house? What if they've got somebody else over? What if the pet, they feed the pet something? Or what if they tell you, oh, I already fed them, but they didn't? Or, whatever it is, you cannot be responsible for the pet if somebody else is in the home. That's how I feel, not to mention your own safety. You don't know these people. So you want to find out, are they going to provide an extra key for you? Is there a door code? Is there a garage code? Do you need me to come before you leave and stay until you return? These are for pets that cannot be left alone at all. Then you want to arrive before the family leaves. Not at the same time, give them a little bit of cushion there so nobody's worried about it. You want to find out those times. That's very important. And then, of course, as I've mentioned, you want to find out if the pet is okay to be alone for a little while. So a lot of times this is mainly for grocery shopping, or if you're going to be, like for me, I stay the whole time I'm there away. I order groceries in. So I order from Instacart and I have groceries brought in. Or I bring stuff too. But that's another thing the meet and greet is for. So you want to ask, sometimes people have, oh, the stove doesn't always work quite right, or like, I'm short, so is the microwave up way high? Because sometimes they are. So you want to see, like, what kind of food am I going to be bringing while they're away? What kind of food am I going to be eating? What kind of food can I prepare while I'm there? You want to pay attention to those things. A lot of times, so one thing that I've started doing much later, so I've been doing this for many years. So another thing I started doing was, after I get there, I will look in the refrigerator and look in the freezer. Is there enough room? Sometimes people have it so packed there's no room. Or maybe the fridge is empty but the freezer is packed. So that way I know I'm not going to be bringing any frozen foods or ordering any frozen foods in, anything like that. So that kind of thing is important to look at too. Some things you might not think about. So then, how does your pet let you know that they need to go out? So a lot of times a pet will just go stand by the door, or sometimes they have a little bell to ring, or they'll look at you and bark at you, just whatever it is, There's all kinds of different ways. And then you also want to pay attention while you're there at the meet and greet, how the family is responding to the pet. Also listen for nicknames. If the pet is named Kira, but everybody is calling them Kiki, then you want to call them by the same name that the family is calling them. So, but when you're staying there, so like I said, I stay the whole time the family's away, so I'm letting the pet out often anyway. I'm not really waiting for those cues usually. It's just we're in and out all day a lot of the times. So I'm not waiting for a pet to tell me it needs to go out. But if if you're not going to be there the whole time, or they don't need that kind of service, you need to know those things. And then, what do you use to pick up the waste and where to dispose of it? There's all different ways. Different families do it differently. You need to find out. And when you're there for the meet and greet, have them show you. Find out about walks. I don't do walks for several reasons, but you want to find out what times do they normally go on walks? Where do you take them for walks? Are there any special cues or commands Do they know stay? Do they know heel? Any of that kind of a thing. Anything I need to watch out for? Do they always dart when they see a squirrel? You need to know that if you're taking them off the property, right? So another thing about not taking them off the property, which I do not take them off the property, another thing about that though is make sure that the gates are secure. You want to ask, is there any issue with the gates being secure? What about when pool people come? Are there pool people that are coming? Are there gardeners, landscapers that are coming? Anything like that. What times do they normally come? And then even though they always close and secure the gate when they leave, before you let the pet out, you're going to go check, because the last thing you want is for a pet to run loose and get out of the property when you're there. So, even if it's always that the pool person or the landscapers or whatever, even if they always close it behind them and they're really good about it, you're going to double check. I'm telling you, you got to double check. Sometimes it can be closed and the one little thing doesn't go over and it's just like this much open. So really double check. And find out if it's locked. Is it locked? Do I need to unlock it for these service people that are coming? Anything like that. Sometimes people there's a space in the gate, in the fence somewhere along in the yard. There's this one board that's loose. We have a chair in front of it or a rock in front of it. Make sure you know those things so you can be aware and watch. Like I mentioned before about the supplements and medications, make sure that you know about that. And ask the family to leave a note. Is what's listed on the medication bottle the same thing as what the instructions, are the instructions the same as what's listed on the bottle? Because sometimes people will have on the bottle, give them one a day with food, and sometimes the family will cut that in half and give them half with dinner and half with breakfast, or they just give them a half anyway, even though the instructions say a full one, or something like that. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but ask if the instructions are the same. Also ask them if whatever they tell you, and even if you're writing notes, ask them to please leave you a note. Just in case you can't read your writing, you forget your note, just so there's no misunderstandings, especially when it comes to medication. It's better to have a really detailed list with all the information than to just be told this stuff and have to go by memory or have to go by your own notes. I've heard other pet sitters say, they micromanage and they left me this very long list of everything that we've already talked about. To me, that's a good thing. First of all, they care about their pet's care, and I do too, and I want to help somebody out who is really a good pet parent. So I think that's really important. It's good to have a really detailed list. Then they value the care that you're giving. And then also you're not going to forget anything. It's going to be there. So let's see what else is on my list here for the meet and greet. Yeah, leaving a note. And you want to talk about your fee. I already talked about this a little bit, but that's another place people get stuck. They don't want to bring it up because it's uncomfortable, or they're not sure what they should charge. So one thing you want to do is set your fee before you even go to a meet and greet. Now, look on, find other pet sitters in your area, find out what they're charging, but also, what's your experience with pets? Do you have any other kinds of certification in pet care or pet safety or pet sitting in any way? Do you have any other kinds of certification, classes, courses, anything like that? Are you pet first aid and CPR certified? Are you insured? Again, you shouldn't even do this if you're not insured, but all these things play into what you're going to charge. So have that up front. Also, am I going to charge by the hour? Is it one fee for 12 hours and another fee for another 12 hours? And are you willing to cut that in half if it's just 6 hours? Do you charge by the night? That's what I do. It's just a flat fee by the night for up to 2 pets, and then it's a little bit more for more than 2 pets. You have to have this, set in your mind so that you aren't wishy-washy about it. Because if you're wishy-washy about it, they're going to be too. Or you're not going to look as professional. So have this written down. Bring your list and have it written down. So speaking of being pet first aid and CPR certified, this was the required reading for my testing and my instructions when I was taking that test. And it does have to be renewed. I believe it's every 2 years. So keep that up to date. But I always bring this with me. I always have it with me just in case. And so speaking of that, make sure you have a vet number too. get the vet number, also get some emergency numbers, especially if they're going to be flying out of state or even out of the country sometimes. You want to have an emergency number if you can't get a hold of them. And then find out too, if I believe that your pet needs to go to the vet, would you like me to call you first before I take them to the vet, or are you going to agree with my discretion that I believe they need to go? So those kinds of things are important. And then you want to ask too, is there anything else that you think I need to know about your pet or your household? Anything that I need to know before I stay here and do the house sitting and the pet sitting? Anything else that we haven't gone over that you think is important that we go over? So make sure you have that. And then also I ask, are you okay with your pet's photos being on social media? So I have a website and I have social media pages for my pet sitting. And some families do not want their pets' photos on there. I never ask them why. That's totally fine. It's up to them, right? It's their pets. If they don't want them on there, that's fine. And I respect those wishes. But I always ask. It's just a respect thing. And then they will trust you more with their own privacy. If you're respecting their privacy by asking this, then they also know that you're going to be a little more respectful with their privacy in other ways as well. So that's important. I think that it's important to have a website. Not a whole lot of people visit the website, but it's a good thing to have all your information in one spot. A lot of times when people are looking for pet sitters, you will see them on whether it's a Facebook group or the Nextdoor app or something like that. And it's nice to just, here's the website, here's all the information. Because a lot of times people will go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth asking questions. I ask them, what are the dates that you need? Here's the website, and then I leave it up to them. We're not going back and forth unless they contact me again. So that's a pretty efficient way. And then also, of course, social media is a nice way to just put out there what you do. So I never, talking about photos on the social media and on the websites, I never say the pet's name, which I know, a lot of people do, and that's, it's okay by them, but I don't know. So I have a nursing background. I was a nurse for 14 years, a licensed nurse, and I quit in 2020. So I think that's part of why I am more comfortable with medications and people trust me with the medications a little more with their pets that have an illness or need medications. But I think it's from my nursing that I really have an awareness of people's privacy. So when I do show pictures, it's really pretty close up of the pet. I don't show much of the background of the house. And you can see here, if you have a Zoom call or anything, I make sure there's no family photos behind me or anything that's going to be showing. Or in the pictures, there's no family photos there. Or if you're in the front of the house, there's nothing that's going to show the address or anything like that. But, you shouldn't even really take pictures in the front of the house, right? So there's those things. So let me look. I had a couple questions that people had asked. So make sure that you know a bit about behavior, pet behavior, body language. You're not going to walk up, when you go to the meet and greet, don't just automatically smother the pet with kisses and pets and pats and whatever. Respect their personal space. They don't know you. You want to be mindful of that. If there's a pet that's anxious or shy, don't push yourself on them. Don't ever chase the pet around the house. So another thing that I do when I come, if I'm there for the first time and the pet doesn't know me and they're a little bit anxious, so when I come for the first time after the meet and greet, when I go there to take care of the pet and the family isn't there, I will put on some soft music. Whether it's YouTube or like either Alexa or Google, you can say play meditation music and it will, and it's very nice and calming. But I will just sit down on the floor. I'll either read out loud or I'll sing a little bit. And this kind of shows that you're not there to do any harm. You're not going to chase them. You're not going to push yourself on them. I'm here. I'm on the floor. You can easily come up to me and sniff me if you want, or lay down next to me. I might put a treat by me, And this is my voice, so I'm reading, I'm singing, I'm just there, I'm on the floor. I'm available, but I'm not pushy. So keep those things in mind as well. Let's see. A lot of pet sitters get in over their head. They get overwhelmed when they're there. It's like, oh, these things happened. I didn't expect them to. A very good and detailed meet and greet will prevent some of that overwhelm. Will prevent some of that getting in over your head or coming up against things that you didn't expect. And if there's issues that you feel like they weren't upfront about, you want to contact the pet parents and talk to them about it. And sometimes pets will act in ways that they don't with their family. So don't feel like that they've lied to you. Don't always rush to that conclusion if the pet is acting in ways that you didn't expect or that nobody talked about. But definitely bring it up to the pet family, the pet parents, bring it up to them. But if they have, if there's some reason that you cannot stay because you are not comfortable or you do not feel safe, say there was a lie, they said nobody else is on the property, nobody else is going to be here. At the last minute, my neighbor, my family was going out of town with us, and so we have their dog there too. Last minute. You never met this dog before. You don't know the pet parents. Or, my teenagers are staying, they didn't want to go on the trip. Don't feel bad about saying no. Don't feel bad about it. You have to have self-respect. You have to stand up for your own safety and your own boundaries. That's very important as well. So this, I think, is long enough. I think I went over everything. I'm going to put the links to those websites that I mentioned below. I will also put mine there. So if you have any questions about anything that I do or about the stuff that I have on my website, it's all down there. If you have any other things that you think I should have mentioned that I forgot or didn't bring up, please put the questions in the comments below. And good luck on your pet sitting ventures. It's so rewarding. I love it so much. So I hope that you find the same joy in it that I do. Thank you for watching.